What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Movie Talks, the only podcast you need for all your movie news, movie reviews, and more. Episode 44, we're bringing you three brand new
Wow.
things that are out and about. So we've got the Boogeyman. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the one that scares you as a kid. He comes out of nowhere, and he is based off the Boogeyman's a Stephen King original story, isn't it? Or like short story.
Yeah, it's a Stephen King. It's a 14-page. I looked it up. It's a 14-page novella.
That's right.
It's like Children of the Corn, which was we'll talk about that
Yeah.
later.
And we've got the newest action drama TV show coming out of Korea this time, which is Bloodhounds. And then
hmm
we've got the newest season, the first three episodes of Black Mirror, season 6. So that is out now on
Heck yeah.
Netflix. So jam-packed episodes. It was a bit of a time crunch this week. Obviously, TV shows get a little bit of extra time based off movies, but we do this for you
Mm.
guys, all for you. Lawson's got something in the works. He's looking at maybe a mini episode coming in there. It just really depends on time commitments for both of us.
Yeah, because we're getting some recommendations now of like older things, and traditionally Movie Talks is like new and trending and movies that just come out. So we're contemplating doing like a mini-sode during the week as well, where we review some older things and some things we may have missed, or we get some suggestions in Discord as well. So it's all about time. I'm not that I'm time poor, but I spare myself in a lot of different directions, and I also like to do a whole lot of nothing. I've been
Yes.
speedrunning Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards
Okay.
on my own, the Game Boy Advance game, because why
Sure.
not?
Sure. Whatever floats your boat. But
Yeah, man.
let's get into what everyone's little favorite segment is: movie news.
Hell yeah.
Movie news. So we've got Gal Gadot leaps into the super spy mode in action-packed Heart of Stone. And the new trailer is out now. Let's say it looks kind of cool. It looks like they've fit the big action role, which
Who's Gal Gadot?
she was Wonder Woman.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, well, all right. She was good as
I care
Wonder
less.
Woman. Oh, all right.
Probably.
Yeah, she was. She was. I like it.
Sure.
Yep.
I believe you.
Yep. Zack Snyder offers a fresh look at a sci-fi film, Rebel Moon, a new featurette. The new
Hmm.
featurette is out.
I think we talked about that last week. I
Yeah.
actually haven't watched the featurette yet. Yeah, look, I said it last week. I'm more excited for this because it's not DC, it's not Marvel, it's not Star Wars. I feel like it has the opportunity of being something new and exciting. But
Okay. Look, after seeing Zack Snyder sort of redeem the Justice League after his edit, like I'm excited to see what he can do when it's not, you know, it's trying to save a franchise that unfortunately was not going well.
yeah.
So we'll see on that one. But jumping across to the Marvel realm, the Incredible Hulk is stomping onto Disney Plus. So both Hulk films were terrible. I didn't like either of them. But the Incredible Hulk is stomping on there. So as
Anyone I've seen was the Eric Banner one.
yep, that was that was something.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a kid, being like, "Yep, this
Yep,
is
yep.
this is not what I wanted." But
It is what it is.
yeah,
We've got Bradley Cooper and Will Arnett starring in Is This Thing On? So that could be quite funny. Bradley Cooper's
okay,
obviously he's a pretty good actor. He does quite well in
yeah.
a
I
number
actually
of
watched
things.
Limitless last night for the 50,000th time.
Yeah, right. And Will Arnett
Um,
is
Will Arnett is fucking hilarious. It's one of my favorites.
that's probably why you don't have a lot of time because you watch things over and over again.
It brings me comfort and joy.
Yeah, right. It's going to be pretty
Yeah,
amazing for me to watch it again. I like to move on. Unless I'm going to sleep and then I might put like a sitcom I've seen on before. But yeah.
yeah. I
Mm.
also do that, but I love rewatching things that I at least enjoy. Like Limitless, it's a really fun concept. You seen Limitless?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fun concept. The idea of unlocking your brain and the color grading is really nice. It's not a great movie by any means, but it brings me joy.
Mm, yeah. I remember what's her name? The one that played Black Willow, Scarlett Johansson. She did a version of that.
Of
I believe.
Limitless.
Yeah, something about something that unlocks like the potential of your brain.
Oh yes, I did watch
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
I forget what it's called because yeah, she ends up being like she ends up going so far into unlocking her brain
She
that
can
she
manipulate time and space and all sorts.
yeah.
Yeah. Look, I
What
quite
was
liked
that
the
called?
film. I can't remember, but it was something
Lucy.
Lucy. Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Lucy. Yeah. That was okay.
Yeah.
I like her.
Mm, she's cool. Uh, Del Toro or Del Torre, however I say it, I don't know, whatever.
Toro's good.
Says, yep, he only wants to do animation in the future. That's a pity.
That's sick. Nah, I'm good with that.
Nah, I like his films. I like
But yeah,
how out there he is. And if he's just going animation, that's a little bit sad. But he's
yeah, but you think of how much that unlocks with him. Like his what he's done well in has been when he's pushed the boundary of realism. Like I feel like in animation, realistic animation, you know, he could do so much more. I
I
think
don't know, Pan's Labyrinth is incredible.
it
I
is.
I still can't get over it. Also, the
Yeah,
the monster thing gives me nightmares. It's a freaky
the eye
as.
thing in the hands, like
Yeah,
that thing. Yeah,
yeah, so spooky.
it's so cool. Yeah, it's so like, what's the word I want? It's so distinctive. Like it's such a unique character design, monster
Yeah,
design. It's fucking awesome.
it sticks with you too.
Hmm.
Silo, which is on Apple TV, season 2 is confirmed. So I know it's
No idea.
their, I guess, like apocalyptic event that forces humanity into something. I haven't actually seen Silo, but I know that they do advertise it as one of their, like, I guess, flagship shows for Apple TV. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I've
No.
seen nothing Apple TV.
Okay. If you do get Apple TV, watch Blackbird. Blackbird's
I know
incredible.
you've said a few times. I need
Yeah,
to watch that and Ted Lasso
yeah. Stop
one
rewatching
day.
stuff.
No.
Pixar's newest sci-fi venture is ELIO is the first
Elio? Elio?
Elio. I'm not sure how they're going to say it, but
Okay.
first teaser is out for it.
It's a
So
movie or a show?
I believe it's a movie.
Okay.
So the Water Boy meets the Fire Girl rom-com. Oh, okay. It's
Oh,
in
when you said Waterboy, I was picturing
Adam
I was
Sandler.
picturing Adam Sandler's Waterboy. Right, like Shark Boy Lava Girl.
I'm assuming this is the flow on from Elementals. Water
Oh,
Boy,
sure.
Fire Girl,
Yeah, just
maybe
elemental, not elementals.
Elementals.
That's different. No, it's
No,
singular.
but there's more than one, so it should be plural.
But it's I'm not even gonna argue. Pointless arguing with you.
Oh, it's not fair. You don't buy it anymore. You
It's because
almost
I've
did.
learnt over
You
time what is the
almost
point.
did.
What
Almost
is the
got you.
point?
You love it. And that
There's a
is it.
line. Sorry, there's a line in Edgar Wright's The World's End, and like it's a line they repeat a few times. Just like it's pointless arguing with you, and it's all I can think of whenever I fucking pretty much whenever I talk to you.
Yeah. Hugh Grant is also to star in a horror movie. That could be interesting. I wouldn't expect it.
Okay.
I mean, he's been the baddie in a few other recent films, which is he's done
Has he?
reasonably well. Yeah, hasn't it? Wasn't he the
Oh yeah, it
baddie?
was in D&D and in what did we
Um,
watch the same week?
Guy Ritchie's.
Operation Fortune?
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. You're right, actually.
yeah. I kind of
In
like
a
it.
horror,
Mm.
The Lair of the White Worm. Is that it? No,
No,
that's from 1988. No, that's
he-
not it.
heretic.
Okay, so he was in a horror
Mm.
back in 1988 called The Lair of the White Worm. Uh, just found that out. Heretic. Okay, interesting. Yeah, look, I'm. He has really proved recently that his range is far beyond just the typical rom com. I've been really enjoying him. So look, See how it goes. I'm not gonna shit on it yet.
Yeah, well, that's probably a nice little segue. So Hugh Grant's going to be in a horror. Luckily, he didn't attach himself to this one. This is the
Mm.
Boogeyman, the newest one
Hmm.
out, new retelling of the same old story. Would you say it was a 17-page novelette or whatever it's called?
14-page novella,
Novella, that's it.
like a short story.
Yeah.
Yep,
So why can't I just call it a short story? Or would I have to call it novelette?
because it's the technical term. It's not novelette.
So this one,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Got lots to say, but also nothing to say. Just like the movie.
So
Go
this
for it.
one is directed by Rod Savage, and it has 3 writers, which is surprising that this involved 3 writers. Where he doesn't have a massive backlog of
His
of-
biggest two are Host and Dashcam. They're both
yeah,
found footage films.
yeah. I remember Dashcam got very mixed reviews. Some people loved
Yep.
it, most people hated it. So
Host is okay.
yeah,
It's also nothing.
okay.
The found footage is never my favorite
No,
genre, but
yeah, it's kind of done to death. But anyway.
mm,
Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her younger sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. So this revolves around two children mainly.
yep.
It's the mother dies, the father is in a depression and is I don't know, that doesn't really spend much time with the father to explain what his actions are, but he doesn't give you assume he's in a bit of depression for losing his
Of
wife
course. Yep.
and isn't really paying the children any like attention whatsoever,
Hmm.
which then as they go on, obviously it's following mostly the eldest child who I forget her name because they were all very
The character's name's Sadie Harper.
Sadie
Um,
Harper.
the
Oh,
actor's
so
Sophie Thatcher.
yeah. So she is wearing her like mother's clothes and is getting a bit bullied at school. And there's a little bit that's going on. There was a whole scene where there was a presence with the other girls that came over their house, and all of a sudden there was a boogeyman appearance where lots of this film didn't really have any emotional weight to it. So like the choices that characters were making, I
Mm.
didn't feel connected to them whatsoever. Like the acting was okay. There wasn't
Yeah,
really
I'd say it's pretty good.
there wasn't any like
Actually, the younger girl, Vivian Lyra Blair, she was the girl who played Leia Organa in the Obi-Wan series.
yeah.
Um, she's great. She's probably one of my favorite child actors at the moment. I think she did a really good job. She genuinely looks terrified. I think there are a few moments, and this I said this before with other movies, few moments where the writing for her was kind of dumb because when adults write for kids, they forget that they're fucking kids. But I think, like you said, the acting was pretty top notch. I think Sophie Thatcher and Vivian Lyra Blair as the two like young girls really did well, considering we don't see that all the time.
Yeah. So
That's pretty much where my only praise is for this movie.
yeah. So obviously the girls are being haunted by the boogeyman. So that sort of latches on. They tried to give a backstory about the boogeyman, how it latches on to people, which felt really forced. Like when
Yep.
Sadie goes to the abandoned house, which was said to be abandoned, and then she runs into the older lady.
Hmm.
Like it just there never really felt like there was much sort of backstory for the boogeyman or a
No.
reason why it sort of like attached on there. Like
Yep.
there was
It
just
followed. Sorry.
what did it follow? It was
Oh,
meant to.
it followed. So Lester Billings, because their dad's a psychologist. So David Dastmalchian, who I know from the only movie I know him from really is the new Suicide Squad. He plays the dot guy. Um, he comes in and he's like, I'm being followed and no one believes me. Like, he comes to see a psychologist. And yeah, like you said, he's followed in by the boogeyman. And then somehow the boogeyman attaches itself to Sophie and Vivian, like the two, oh, sorry, Sadie and Sawyer, the two kids. Like I think in my interpretation is that it's kind of like through trauma or through because he dies in the house and Sophie sees his dead body. He more or less hangs himself, but we don't know if he hangs himself or if the boogeyman hangs him or whatever. So that's my interpretation. But you're right, like it doesn't tell us in any way, and it doesn't even give us any clues that we're meant to figure out. I'm just making up interpretation because I want answers.
Yeah, like that's I don't know. Normally, horror movies have a reason why
Mm-hmm.
something's happening. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
have it. Like it was just like what is it that it's latching onto? Is it just people's sadness? Is it they have to have
Mm-hmm.
had a death in there? Like
Is
what?
it trauma? Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
what was the reason that it was attaching it to it? You also, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, you never really saw it. I hate how every monster or demon has to be burnt. Like it annoys
I
me.
know.
Aren't
Oh my
there?
god, don't even. We'll get to the end later, but you're so fucking right. I'm so glad to hear you say that because you like horror movies ending with a climactic action scene.
Yeah, but this wasn't a climactic action scene.
No,
It didn't
no, it
even
really
like
wasn't.
it didn't really build to it either. Like at least with
No,
my friend, my friend got possessed, or my best friend. Remember that one from a while back? Like at least,
Friend's exorcism, whatever it was.
yeah, like at least there was a build up.
Best
Like
friend's exorcism. Yeah,
they were
yeah.
possessed, and like it is eventually had to end up in a confrontation. This
Mm-hmm.
was just like it's around. We see a few jump scares here and there. We never really
Yep,
see anything besides a black shadow, and
yep.
then all of a sudden they just light everything up, and away you go. Like it wasn't really a confrontation. There wasn't them really facing their fears. It was just kind of like spray
It
and
was just
hope
an
that
end.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was an end climax for the sake of an end climax, which wasn't climactic. This movie started quite well. I think even the first shot, we get this long sweeping shot, kind of like the opening of Back to the Future, where we are established to our characters via their environment. And we learn so much about the two girls through the first opening shot. I'm like, wow, this is actually nice. This could actually be decent. And then it becomes sort of like a psychological horror because they're talking about trauma and they're talking about being followed and are they being followed literally, are they being followed by trauma metaphorically? Like there's a bit of psychological undertones. And I wasn't excited, but I guess I was like, this could actually be better than I originally anticipated. It's not just going to be the classic, monster of the week fucking movie. But then as
Mm.
soon as Act 2 hits and they're being followed by this monster, there was one scene, the scene where they're in the psychologist's room, like the one they're seeing, the woman, um, and she has that light, that red light that blinks on and off, and we can see the boogeyman. Like that scene was pretty cool and an interesting concept, but pretty much from then onwards, it just became the classic monster in the shadows, and the slow burn of the first half of the film, or the first almost two thirds. A slow burn's fine if the payoff is worth it. But when the payoff is the same as every other horror movie, it's the slow burn just becomes a slow movie. And for a movie that's 90 minutes, this felt like it was fucking 3 hours long. I was so
Yeah.
over it. And yeah, it went nowhere. It did
Right.
nothing new. And it was fucking dark. You got this monster that its whole gimmick is that it only exists in the dark. Sure, that's fine. But when you're trying to make us, the audience, scared of this monster, especially in the final climax of the film, and like you said, it's barely a climax. And the reason it's such a letdown is you can't see what the fuck is happening for the entire climax. You see little glimpses of the monster. That's not scary. It's not fucking Cloverfield. Cloverfield is more scary because it's an ominous creature that it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Where this, there's no fear in it if it's just the dark. Yeah,
Yep.
I was done with it. So done.
Well, looking at the poster, it's a attic or basement, and you
Yeah.
can see two dots of eyes. and that's
And
pretty
that's
much all you see. You might see a leg,
yep,
or maybe a hand,
yep,
but
yep,
that's it.
definitely,
I don't even think.
definitely.
I think the Boogeyman's been done so much now that it's not. Boogeyman's not a scary like
Yeah.
trope anymore. I
Well,
feel
the
like
fact that when I searched Boogeyman to try and find this, um, there's like a 2005 film. There's a film series called Boogeyman. There are so many adaptations. Like we're done with this, aren't we?
I would assume so. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how it goes into a pitch meeting going, I want to try my hand at the Boogeyman. And they're
Yeah.
like, no worries, here you go. Like, surely
Yep.
you got to have some creativity of where you want the Boogeyman to go. Like, could the
Hmm.
Boogeyman have been a person who was like possessed by a demon or something and has a reason for haunting like a set neighborhood or
Something
something?
new.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
not just a typical monster to have to run away from and then fight and burn. Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be, there's got to be something, but I
I
don't know.
mentioned earlier, it reminds me of Children of the Corn, which was another Stephen King novella. I think it was the Children of the Corn was more like 40 pages, so at least it was had more substance to it. But again, it was still like you're turning a short story into a full length film.
Yeah.
This was very much like that. Like this could have been, and I would love this could be a segue to Black Mirror.
Mhm.
I would love a anthology series with Stephen King novellas and just like little 40-minute to maybe an hour and 20 for the longer ones, like little short, shiny stories where we get enough of the characters. We don't need 30 minutes of intro to our characters. We just get into it. We tell our simple Stephen King horror and we move on. And that would be really interesting. But this making these full feature length films out of 14 pages, it's just, I'm over it. It's not making anything new.
Mhm. You got anything else on it? Because the the film wasn't
Um,
overly exciting.
nah, I will say there are some shots like it wasn't poorly made at times, especially in the first half an hour. I was actually like, oh wow, this is kind of nicely done, and then it just sent to nothing. So like, look, credit to some segments. I think some of the shots were nice. There was some creative scenes, but then it just became a trope. Um, yeah, I'll review it like one and two thirds, one and no, one and a third. It's like it's okay. I think if you really like horror, you might be like, yeah, this is an okay ride, but it's really, really nothing. It told nothing new and did nothing new.
Yeah,
Disappointing. Not that I was expecting much of it, but it started okay and then it just became such a nothing. So nope, boring. One, move on.
fair. I heard good things about it before we came into it, but unfortunately,
Uh,
it never did anything. Like there
mm-hmm.
was just no reason to be scared of this monster because I had no idea why it was chasing him. I didn't really care that much for the actors, like even the
Yeah.
people. And like I feel like you should because it's reasonably well acted. There was no
Mm-hmm.
points where I was like, oh, that was a cheesy line or whatever, or you don't feel like you're scared. But there was no reason for me to really care about them at all.
Yes.
And uh, unfortunately, I do normally like a big climactic scene where you have to face your demons and whatever. But they didn't have that. It was just like burn everything, and it sucked, and it
Mm-hmm.
felt long because
Yes.
it was slow. Every scene was like kind of dark and dreary. It was just so nothing.
Yeah.
It's a one.
100%.
I cannot recommend it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the director's on to something, like obviously with Dashcam and a few others, like he's trying different things. But
Yep.
maybe let's not go for the well-known tropey films.
Do something
Or
new. Yeah.
yeah.
Like
No,
surely, like you said, go to a pitch meeting. I'm gonna do another Boogeyman. Like, fuck, really?
yeah. Do you know what? I used to really like Jeepers Creepers. I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty
that was
terrifying.
scary in high school. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like the high schoolers where the bus breaks
Scarecrow.
down and old mate
Mm-hmm.
comes in and like takes their skin and stuff. Like it's freaky
Mm-hmm.
as.
Yeah. And that was not groundbreaking, but it was like something new. That was very like mid 2000s horror
Yeah,
for sure.
it's a creepy one. So let's move on to Bloodhounds, the newest action crime drama TV show, which is out on Netflix, coming out of Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is focusing on a dynamic duo. In order to pay off their debts, three darling youths jump into the money lending business while confronting the rich and powerful who prey on the weak. So
We'll say it's three daring youths, not darling. But anyway,
they're darlings. They
they're
are.
darlings now.
They're boxing. They're
Just like
boxing.
CSL says they're darlings.
Yep. Yep. They are. So, so I'm going to butcher a lot of names in here. So apologies
Same.
to any Korean people, but I apologize
Yeah,
for.
we're white. We're
Oh yeah,
sorry.
I apologize for not getting your names correct. But so this is focusing on our main character who was Hong Hong Woo Jin.
Hong Woo Jin.
Hong Woo
Yep.
Jin. Yep. So he is his mother owns a cafe and he is, I'm assuming this is amateur boxing. I feel like it's not because he's like still
Yeah,
just going to.
they actually say it's the amateur league. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I watched this in dub. You attempted in dub and went to sub.
Literally
So
first saying, can't do this.
so I had a good laugh at quite a few scenes. But he Woo Jin is an amateur boxer. His mum owns a cafe. He goes into an amateur fight. Who the other guy he's going up against is, where's his picture? Is it
Yeah, I have
is it
no idea.
Kin? Is that the one?
Is it Kim?
Yeah,
Kim Jong Woo?
I think it's Kim. King Jun Woo is his opponent.
We have
So
to give them
they,
our own names.
yeah, they have very different boxing styles. So Wu Jin is very technical and is
Hmm.
a very technical strike to the bodies. He's always aiming for that nice like body shots, aiming for the livers or the kidneys, and drops people very quickly. Where our other boxer, Jun Woo, is a very wild, I guess
Hmm.
what would you call it? I wouldn't, it's not flamboyant, it's not the word, but
I think Wild's fair. Yeah.
wild, yeah. Like throws big haymakers, taunts
Hmm.
people, has big celebrations. So they're the counter opposites of each other. But their defining moment is when they're having a boxing match and they learn that later on that each other are ex Marines.
Yeah.
And that's their bonding moment. They become friends. I got to say, the fight scenes are really good. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the
Hmm.
cinematography of the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like it was,
I'm not usually a big fan of just random punching scenes, but yeah,
yeah,
this was well done.
yeah. It was stylish. You can see
Hmm.
that these guys actually trained. They're either experienced, like had
Yep.
some experience in boxing, or they just had like a boxing coach because their steps and their punches are all really
Hmm.
good. Normally,
Hmm.
it's not great, but I was very impressed. It is a bit stylish, like that's what you're going to expect for a
Yeah.
movie.
Actually
But
reminded me of the original Old Boy in some moments. I feel like there's some inspiration there.
yeah, yeah. So they become friends because of the boxing match. Uh, Wu Jin's mother owns a cafe. I'm not sure. I think it's a cultural thing, which I don't know that it translated to me in terms of what the area was, like where her shop was. Like, was
Sure.
there is that area not really busy, or is it like the hustle and bustle of the streets?
Well,
Like,
they do.
I don't
This
know the
is
layout.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but they do mention a few times, and this is worth mentioning for context. This is like peak COVID,
Mm,
or at a time where COVID is still, affecting businesses. People are getting way less business. There's even a scene where Woo Jin goes to his like studio, his like gym, training boxing gym, and there's a sign like closed because of
Outbreak.
what do they call it? Close contact.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was like peak COVID, and we can see how much it's affected small businesses and especially the hospitality business. Hmm.
Yeah. So they're struggling because of COVID. The bad guys who I can't pick them out of a lineup here for names wise, but they are.
You got Kim Young Gil is like the leader bad guy.
Yep.
They're called Smile something.
Yeah, they're like some upbeat kind of name. They're a
Mm,
money loaning business where
yeah,
they get people in their what are they called? Subtext. It's the fine print or like something in a contract
yeah,
where
and the fine print. Yeah, yeah.
fine print, yeah. So in their fine print, they make it sound really, really nice that they'll be able to get the
Hmm.
money and it's not much of an interest. But if they miss or they don't pay within a certain amount, all of a sudden it goes sky high and they
Yeah.
are able to then collect the business and they're going to do something or other with that area, which I can't quite remember. There's a
They're pretty much con men. Yeah.
yeah, there's a whole business of it. They're taking people's IDs, and there's lots that will go into it. But
Hmm.
there's also the other money loaner who there's two
Hmm.
other money loaners, and one's a older
Yeah.
bloke who's really nice and just wants to help people, and
Hmm.
he doesn't actually charge any interest. Like he
Yeah, he does.
must be
Yeah, right.
loaded. Like
Uh-huh.
they don't quite explain why he's able to loan such large amounts of
Well,
money
they
and not,
did say that he used to be a loan shark like the others. And we
yeah,
do see some flashback scenes in the first few episodes, but it was a means to an end. He only was a loan shark so that he could build up enough money so that he could eventually do zero interest loans with mainly with people who needed like surgeries or, you know, any sort of like medical care or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. So he helps most people out and is like the shining light, I guess,
Hmm.
for our guys. There is also Jinwoo's I guess acquaintance friend who's also a loan shark, but is a bit of a I don't
Oh yeah,
want to.
John Woo's friend. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a bit
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
a up and coming sort of like, yeah, I'll help you out, but then we'll turn on you if you don't do the stuff that you need for him.
Hmm.
Where,
And they're very much like would go like, beat people up if their loans aren't coming in and things like that, like loan sharks do.
yeah, so
Whereas good guy loan guy doesn't do that.
yeah, so it's a lot of the show is the connection that these two guys have made. The
Hmm.
big catalyst for the show is at the end of the first episode where the Mum's Cafe they come to claim the payment and he's there and starts to because they're rough handling his mum, fights him off. Like
Yeah.
a little bit of I'll attack, you attack, but still very well filmed,
Mm.
very stylish. I
But
like
it still felt like they were still ganging up on him. There was moments where like three would get on him, he'd use their weight and their like, progression to sort of make them fight each other, like, push each other in each other,
yeah,
it didn't feel like one v one v one v one. It felt more like like actual gang fight would.
yeah. I did like the big fella that's like just taking punches and just like he just takes it.
Yeah,
Like there's always going to be one of those kind of guys that it's like the
Beom Beom. They don't pronounce it Beom. They pronounce it something else. Like Bam or Bomb or something. But yeah,
yeah.
he's cool. It's just like he's the boss for sure.
Oh, the big tanky one.
The
Like if
boss
you played
character. Yeah,
any video game where the boss comes in early and just like wrecks you, and then you got to
hmm,
like power up, like you feel like that's kind of gonna happen.
yeah,
But
yeah. He's cool.
yeah, then we're
Scary.
introduced to Kim. Was it Kim or was it? Yeah, it was. I think it was Kim. It was Kim or
Who are we talking about?
Yoon, who is the good guy loan sharks like lackey slash adopted who's
Oh yeah.
like
Yep.
investigating it all, and she is introduced to the pair and is
Hmm.
very what would you very determined and like always down to business, where the other two are
Yeah.
like
Just
chalk
quite
and
headstrong.
cheese. Yeah. So they're all teaming up and they're trying to pay back the money that they're owed to be able to get the mum out of the debt with these
Hmm.
with the bad guy money loaners.
You're struggling here, man.
Yeah.
There is a lot of like different little workings going on, and it's really nice in the fact that in the beginning of the show we sort of just introduced the characters. Like it doesn't necessarily paint um Kim Young Gil, who is the more or less the antagonist. He runs the Smiling, whatever they're called. Um, it doesn't really paint him as the bad guy until later in the first episode. Like initially, you just see him in a few business meetings. He talks about loaning 100 billion, which works out to be 100 million for us. Um, and yeah, he sort of just comes in and talks, and you sort of see him. There's a lot of scenes where our main two characters aren't even involved, and we just sort of see the inner workings of the bad guys as well. And I really like that because it shows like this often just tell the story from the perspective of the good guys, but it's nice to sort of see what he's doing when the good guys aren't around. There's a whole scene where this bad guy and his like offsider, his 2IC, are in sort of a meeting with a police officer and this other rich guy or whatever. And the other rich guy tries to swing his dick around, and they all have this like drinking contest and whatever. And we're sort of just seeing this play out with no real consequence. But then later they bring up that scene again. Maybe like 20 minutes, maybe even the next episode, I forget at this point. And we see what that scene meant. And this show does that a lot. Like sometimes we just get given information that doesn't mean a whole lot, but then later on we see the connection or why it exists, and that's really nice. It's not like holding our hands and not trying to like, oh, this means that this man is angry, or this means that they're going to lose money. Sometimes we just experience a scene like we're a fly on the wall. And yeah, this show is really good at that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so there's lots of things happening, obviously, because it's about a 40-50 minute episode a piece.
No, they're hour.
Because they're an
They're
hour.
all 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots that are going on. Like there's heaps that's happening. It's really entertaining. It's well shot. It's really
Hmm.
pretty. It's
Hmm.
quite well acted. The
Yeah.
dub does leave some very comical moments just because dubs are not always well done. But I would
I
assume
also
that
feel like
the
because at
sub
one
would be
point
way
I went
better.
and watched the dub because I wanted to see how the scenes were done in the dub between the two main characters. And I feel like the dub, they don't come across as passionate and as friendly towards each other in the dub. The sub, they're like you can really feel how excited and how different they are. Whereas the sub, I don't know, I don't sorry, the dub didn't feel like that.
I don't
Did
know.
you?
The barbecue scenes were always hilarious. I had a great time when they were like, "What do you want to eat?" And it's Korean, no, ribeye. Was that
Yeah,
the
ribeye.
running
Yeah,
joke?
that's what they want. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because is ribeye like really expensive over there?
Yeah,
Or is it? Yeah,
I guess so.
okay.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know. Like,
like steak versus bacon.
okay, yeah, yeah. So there was always that running joke when he was at the barbecue. They were like, "I'm a barbecue master." Like,
Hmm.
there's, I don't know. They still felt like they were bros, and it was just there was a few cheesy where they were like, because he's a higher rank. Like, I'm not sure if that was a reason that the sub came, like when they had to run to go meet some bloke because he was a higher rank, or
Oh right.
the other bloke gave in because he was a higher rank in the military.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, was that in the sub as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that's in both. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
but
It is.
that's maybe that's also lost us a little bit because in South Korea you finish high school, you have to do military service. And there is, even after you finish military service, there is a bit of hierarchy based on your rank while you're in the military. And we do lose a bit of that because we have nothing like that in Australia. But I think, it's all easy to follow. Like they have a number system, and, one guy was in the 700s and they were in the 1200s, and like, oh, and they bow to him and stuff, like at least we can make some sense of it. It's not like the arbitrary names, at least numbers make sense to us.
Yeah. I don't know. I still had a really good time. Like I'm
Yeah,
pretty keen to see how it unfolds. Like I feel like just making a prediction that they will sort of like, save the day because
I assume.
they feel kind of, it feels like it's setting it up for that, considering
Yep.
old mate took out like a whole gang just by boxing until he met
Mm,
the boss.
yeah.
Like,
But I want that.
oh
I
yeah,
feel like at this point, it's been earned. It's not like it's an hour and a half movie where we have to have an happy. I can't even speak. We have to have a happy ending because it's in the script. I feel like this already has earned that.
yeah, yep, yeah.
One thing
So,
else I really enjoy. Sorry, I'll just quickly jump on one more thing. The attention to detail in the storytelling for the characters is really, really nice. It's just little things like the main bad guy who has as much money, maybe not even as much as the other loan shark, the good guy loan shark. The bad guy drives around in a Rolls Royce, and the good guy drives around in a Genesis, which is more or less a fancy Hyundai, which is a South Korean car. So like even just little things like that, like how much, where the characters are, their environments. There's a lot of attention to detail on not just the characters and their writing, but also where they spend their time and their vehicles and their clothing. And I think there's a lot of attention that's been spent to really make these characters real. And that's, I find that like yeah, it's a breath of fresh air. When we watch so much stuff that's just thrown together for the sake of it, there's a lot to like in this show.
yeah, I do agree. So I had a great time. The action was awesome. Like it was actually
Mm-hmm.
well shot, and I like the differences between both of the two main characters. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them take down a money laundering ring, and hopefully the mum gets back on her feet and all that jazz. It's a 4
Yeah.
for me. Like I really
Yep.
cared for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think even a 4.5 is fair. There isn't much that I don't like about this. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what I'd even bring it down for. It's not a masterpiece because it's a story we've heard before. I think to be a 5, it needs to be something completely groundbreaking, but it's still it's very refreshing. And the more stuff, like I'm loving that Netflix and that is exposing us to so much like worldly cinema. And like 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, we never would have been exposed to this and
We
would have
had it.
missed out on it.
We had SBS, but not
Yeah, but
many people ever
who
watched it.
watched SBS? Nah, exactly. I didn't watch anything on SBS.
There was a time slot that most of us used to watch SBS for.
Yeah, it's very different SBS.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would never have watched this if it wasn't for, Netflix and whatever. So no, I'm happy. This is sick. Four and a
yeah,
half for me.
nice. All right, so you're a big fan of Black Mirror, and you've been waiting a long time for this one.
Have.
What's the time period between season 5 and season 6? It's a reasonable time, isn't it?
I want to say 2 years. Let me look it up. I reckon 2 years. Oh no, it was in my old house. So at least 3 years.
All right.
Season 5 came out
Jeez.
2019. Oh my God.
Wow.
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Been a
So,
while. And season 5 was only 3 episodes and they were really bad.
oh really?
Like there was one that was half decent and the other two were very boring.
Okay, because
One
I had only ever seen the video game one before that,
Bandersnatch.
which is was that
Or
the one? The one that
the
was
interactive one.
uh no, I didn't do that one. the one where they were
With the
like
guy
went
with
in,
long hair that's like a horror.
they went into like a Street Fighter-y kind of.
Oh, yes. Vipers. Fighting Vipers. Fighting
Was that
Vipers?
was that the one? I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's the only good one from last season.
I don't know
That is half decent.
what season's that. 5.
That's season 5. Yeah. That's the only good one from that season.
Right.
Striking Vipers, it's called.
Not based off the stars, but this says episode.
Stars.
Yeah, star rating on IMDb.
Oh, gotcha.
It says Smithereens is the better one of the 3. The cab driver with
Oh,
an agenda becomes the center of attention on a day that rapidly.
no, I disagree.
Okay.
The whole story takes place in a car, which is fine. I'm not against that, but I don't think it was interesting.
Okay. I am very interested to see your take on these 3 episodes
Sure.
because you're
So we need to sort of
Black
review
Mirror
one by
fan.
one, don't we?
Pretty much, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so the first episode is Joan is Awful. I'm on a different website, so I'll be reading out the description from this, not from IMDb. But an average woman is stunned to discover a global streaming platform has launched a prestige TV drama adaptation of her life, in which she is portrayed by Hollywood A-lister Salma Hayek.
No, that was exactly the same.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so first episode is exactly that. We meet this character Joan, who's played by Annie Murphy, and she's like a boss. She's like a CEO, executive, whatever. She has to fire this girl. She is getting messages from her ex-boyfriend. She goes and sees the ex-boyfriend. He tries to, get her back. They end up kissing. She says no. She goes home, and they bring up Streamberry, which is their Netflix, and they see this show called Joan is Awful, and Summer Hayek is playing Joan, and it's literally the whole episode of the show is literally the day that she just spent. Her boyfriend's watching it with her. Her boyfriend sees that she was saying that he was vanilla to her therapist, and saw that she caught up with her ex-boyfriend Mac, and yeah, as the story goes on, it's like this downward spiral of her being more or less watched and a show being made about her. Uh, this so traditionally Black Mirror deals with sort of futuristic concepts. It's sort of sci-fi, but not in a far beyond realm. It's still within a realm of possibility within our not too distant future. This was very like a few years down the road. This felt very modern, I suppose. Um, what's happening is because she signed the terms and conditions of Netflix or Streamberry, they're allowed to make a show about her, and they're tracking her day more or less through her phone and her conversations and whatever.
They got you in the fine print. Seems to be
Got you in the fine print. There's that segue.
Yep.
And because the show is being made by AI, they can make it the day of. So Salma Hayek isn't actually acting in this show. She also signed a contract for them to use her likeness. So this is all AI generated. The entire show, Joan is Awful, is being created by AI. There's I don't want to get too into spoilers because I think I really want people to watch this. This is like Black Mirror is really good at tragedies. They never really have. There's the couple episodes with happy endings. There are a couple, and they're the ones that my partner likes the most, which is fair. This show doesn't. This episode is sort of a happy ending, but also sort of not. Probably more so than the next two. But there's a scene where because she goes to a lawyer and she's trying to sue them, and she can't. There's everything's written in the fine print. There's nothing they can do about it on a legal standpoint. So to try and get Salma Hayek to pull the plug, she eats a bunch of like junk food, drinks laxatives, puts on a cheerleader outfit, drives to a wedding in a church, and like shits in the middle of the aisle, like just explosive diarrhea. So then in the show, Salma Hayek does the same thing, and she's like a devout Christian. So that's what then kicks off Salma Hayek getting involved into the story. Um, that's enough out of me for now. I think that's you can already tell I pretty much enjoyed the episode, but I'm curious to what you thought because you don't have a lot of Black Mirror experience. Without getting into spoilers, what was your initial take on this episode?
So I did enjoy the episode. I thought this was quite a unique sort of view on the whole AI Truman Showy kind of take. It did get a little bit weird at the end with all the different thingos without going into spoiler territory,
Yeah.
where the ending was a little bit too complex for itself. I thought like they could have simplified it a little bit, but
Okay. I didn't think so, but sure.
I think it did. The build up was cool. I really liked how you got and saw her like hit rock bottom. So like obviously
Mm-hmm.
your life is completely on display. Everything you
Mm-hmm.
do, like that was cool. Like it's touching on those. Is my phone listening to me? Like when you're talking about something and all of a sudden you've got an ad for that item. It's like
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, but to the next level. I did like it. The acting was really good at both. I like the connection between both of them as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were really funny together, and even like the
Yeah.
resolution with the two people, like they stay like I guess chummy, and that
Friends. Yeah. Yeah.
they still have that. So I thought this was actually a really strong episode.
Yeah.
I I struggle with how it's just one story per episode. And I think that's where I had an issue with the other two.
Okay. Cool. We'll get there. I do want to go into spoiler territory here. So if you haven't already watched it, please do. I think if I spoil this for you, it's not going to be as enjoyable.
No, it's not worth
Not that this, yeah,
it's not worth watching again once you know the twist.
I disagree. But
Nope.
anyway, I've rewatched all of Black Mirror plenty of times, and every episode, not every episode, but most episodes in Black Mirror have a sort of reveal, not necessarily a twist, but like a reveal at the end or toward the end. So the reveal in this episode is that the entire what we've been watching the whole time is actually level one. The Joan we've been watching is not the real Joan. She is just like what we saw with Salma Hayek on the TV. She is within a TV show. But because it's not necessarily an AI generated show, it's actually an AI generated universe. So because we've been watching all this stuff through this Joan, we're actually in our real world watching the real show Joan is Awful. And that's the sort of meta-ness of this episode. So we find out that Annie Murphy is, she's an actor who signed her name to the show, and that there's a real Joan in the real world who's doing all these things already. So her decisions aren't her decisions. She's just doing what the real Joan has already done. So at the end, they bust into the Streamberry headquarters to destroy the supercomputer. The what do they call it? They have a word for it, but it's not important. And Michael Cera is there, and he's like the nerd behind the counter. And that's when you're like, why they have Michael Cera? And then you realize, okay, they're all actors. It makes sense. Michael Cera is just an actor who signed his name to Streamberry. So then Real Joan goes in there, destroys the supercomputer, which then destroys the universe that we've been watching. So it's not a happy ending because what we've been watching is all been more or less fake AI generated. But then we get a little denouement at the end where we see Real Joan and Annie Murphy hanging out at the coffee place, and there's a nice little cute moment. But that's the reveal. And I really like it. I thought it was a really cool payoff. Up until that point, it was an interesting story and like an interesting take on AI. But that's very Black Mirror to have at the end a little reveal that what you've been watching is actually a bit more meta than you initially thought. There's another episode called 50,000 Merits, which has a very similar payoff, which I love.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I was invested that that was the real Joan. I didn't like how this wasn't the real Joan. I feel like
Yeah, maybe Black Mirror isn't for you
no,
because that's what Black
no,
Mirror does. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
it's not 2000 Mirror. It's called Hang the DJ, the other one that I'm thinking of.
sure.
My partner's favorite episode.
I'll take your word for that one.
Yeah, you will.
Yep.
I'm right, trust me.
Mm,
Anyway, that's episode one. I really liked it. It felt the last two seasons of Black Mirror haven't felt as Black Mirror-y as the first three seasons. This felt very traditional, back to basics, back to season two and three. I had a really good time. It's on the whole grand scheme of Black Mirror, it's probably like a 3.5. There are episodes I would consider a 5. This isn't one of them, but it still was really entertaining. So for me, like a 3.5.
okay. Yep. I'll give it a 3. It's definitely worth watching. I wouldn't watch it again, but it's definitely good for the first view through.
Sure. Fair. Episode 2, do you want to introduce this one?
Yeah, it's boring. So
Really?
yeah, super boring. I was
Oh,
so bored. A
how?
Because it's boring. A young couple, a young couple travel to a sleepy Scottish town to start work on a nature documentary.
Genteel.
Yeah, but I didn't know what that was. I was going to say genital, but but find themselves.
Genteel.
What is a
Sorry.
genteel? What is a genteel? Why? Why? You don't need a
Uh,
genteel.
it's like polite,
What?
I guess.
Whatever.
Like a genteel nature documentary. Like they're making a documentary about like this guy and his eggs. Like it's a cute little fun story. It's polite. You know what I mean?
All right.
It's not like confronting.
Okay. But find themselves drawn to a juicy local story involving shocking events of the past. So this guy brings his girlfriend home. They are creating a documentary. The mum, she's from America. They're in Scotland. So
Hmm.
she's kind of like taken aback that she's American, and there's a little bit of that language barrier where she says ditto. She doesn't understand it. As they have this montage of them making a documentary, they get around town and then they start to uncover bits and pieces of past events. There's a whole story that involves the dad as well. So the dad was a policeman who was the dad a policeman or was the other one?
Yes, but you're telling this so out of order.
Yeah, but I don't care because I hated the episode. It sucked.
Really? I don't
The
know
episode
how.
because it sucked. It was so boring. Nothing happened.
I
And
liked
they
it more
just
than the first.
no way. This was like shockingly boring to the point where I was like, I don't care what happens. I was ready to fast forward it. It was so slow.
Yeah, Black Mirror is not for you.
Like I didn't feel like the couple had good chemistry at all. I feel like I don't know, they would just look like random people that
They're a
we
new couple. Yeah, they felt more like friends than a couple, but I'm not against that.
I didn't care for the mum. The mum, although there is a reasonable twist at the end, I don't care. Why what was the whole thing sucked. I just
No
don't care
shit.
about it. Like if you're gonna watch the first episode was good. This one was
Hmm.
a complete letdown.
No
Complete.
way. I disagree. This to me was when I was talking about Boogeyman, how
I'd
if
watch the
you're gonna have a slow
Boogeyman over
burn, you
this.
gotta have a good payoff. This had a slow burn with a very worthy payoff.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Didn't care.
So
Did
the
not care.
episode, just to give it some more fucking light,
Nah, doesn't need
it
it.
they go to Scotland. Their little town has no tourism. Used to, now it doesn't. And there was this guy called Ian who more or less captured people, tortured them, whatever. So they start making this documentary about Ian. So they go into his old house. They look inside like the torture chamber. It's all very dark, and they find a lot of blood in there. Um, Part of the story is that our main character Davis, his dad was shot by Ian when they tried to confront him before he killed himself, and he died because of the injuries. Not really, but yes. Um, So there's a bit of a personal story there too. As the story unfolds, and spoiler territory, because it's hard to discuss why this episode's good without discussing the end. For me, this episode is
So was it
not
good?
this episode is not in the traditional sense of Black Mirror. This wasn't set much in the future. There wasn't really much to do with any science fiction really at all in this episode. It was more of like a little horror story. But as the story unfolds, there's a reveal of the dad, as in the main character's dad and mum, actually were working with Ian to capture people, torture them. It was all very like sadomasochism, like kink stuff, but like, torture kink. And that's the reveal. And Pia, the girlfriend, finds out while she's in the house alone with the mum. There's a bit of like, you know, I have to escape this house sort of thing.
Shepherd pie is ready.
Shepherd pie is ready.
Yep. That was the most
Pia
exciting part.
dies in a really dumb way. I didn't like that. She's like running away. She's running through like a stream, and she slips, hits her head, drowns in the stream, and her body floats away. The only good thing about that is earlier in the episode, because this is a bit of foreshadowing, I guess. Earlier in the episode, there is a moment where they're like talking about how people just go missing all the time in the area, and people, you know, don't bat an eye at it. So it is a little bit of like recurring. What do they call it when they? Yeah, it's foreshadowing. I like this episode. I thought it was really good. I did not expect the end to end the way it did. I think the payoff was worth the story being told the way it was. Um, I don't know, maybe it's my true crime brain. I love true crime and listen to true crime podcasts and all that sort of stuff, and I think it scratched that part of my brain really nicely.
Yeah, right. That was so slow. Couldn't get invested in the two characters. Like, there's nothing there. Like, how, with all those VHSs, how did the son never like look at the VHSs?
I mean, my parents have heaps of VHSs at home. I've never sat down and watched them all. There could be
Really?
heaps of dodgy stuff on there.
I used to go through VHSs all the time. It used to be like, what can I record over it? All the time.
Yeah, but if my parents had an entire fucking show, like I don't know what they used to watch, Blue Healers. If they had all of Blue Healers recorded on VHS in a shelf, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna go look through them.
Isn't Blue Healers a crime show? Police crime?
Yeah, it was boring Australian TV.
Uh,
I used
was
to
it?
watch it, but like these days, I wouldn't go watch it.
Uh,
I wouldn't be interested in going to watch Blue Healers. If I was going to watch it, I wouldn't watch on fucking VHS. I'd go online and find it somewhere.
all right. I don't know. The episode sucked. It was so slow. I couldn't connect with any of the characters.
Yeah, right.
Like the twist, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It's just I wasn't invested in any of them. I didn't care about the crime story that was happening. I didn't care that people were going missing. Like there was nothing. It was like, here's a scenario, put me in it, and let's slowly burn it for the next
But
like
that's Black Mirror. Every episode's like that. You get brand new characters with no backstory, and you sort of just experience
yeah, but
what they experience.
the other episode was good. This one sucked.
But what made you connect more with the characters in the last episode than this one?
Because it was an interesting situation. Like the AI was taking her life and running with it. I thought that was really interesting.
And you
Like
don't find like making a documentary about this serial killer and then finding out that your parents were also working with the serial killer. That's not interesting to you?
no, I didn't find it interesting. It wasn't presented in a very interesting way. It was presented in an
No.
extremely slow drip form, which was just so boring that I was very tempted to just play on my phone and do anything else besides watch it.
Oh, I was so into this episode.
No,
And even like it ends with the documentary they make is obviously extremely successful. And we see Davis go to like red carpet events and he wins a BAFTA. But in the end, the last shot is him in his room alone drinking wine. Like his life has been ruined through this investigation that he did. And I love Black Mirror for that. I'm so sick of happy endings. I think Black Mirror, the fact that some are happy, some are really tragic. Um, yeah, the next one as well. Let's move on then. I think this one for me was even better than the last, like slightly over a 4.
Nah, you're cooked. It's a
You're
1.
cooked.
It's a
You're
1.
fucking. You're so basic. Fuck you.
Sucks so much.
You
Sucks.
suck.
No,
You don't appreciate good
no.
cinema.
I
Fuck
would have
you.
rather the sun run out to the stream and slip, and she be like, "I'm gonna expose you all." I would have preferred the sun to be in it, and she was
But
gonna
then you would
be
have been.
the
You would prefer
victim.
a happy ending.
How's that a happy ending?
Was happier because this was tragic in the fact that he was the only survivor. He has to live with the guilt and the horror. Whereas if she lived, it would have been like she would have been successful. She would have reaped the benefits. She wouldn't have had that life ruining connection.
Yeah, she still would have had trauma.
Yeah, trauma, but like you can get through that over in therapy.
Sure.
Whereas his everyone he loved died, and he has to live with the guilt of knowing that his parents were responsible, and without him investigating it, none of it would have come to light. Was it worth it?
Yeah, whatever.
There's
Okay,
so many questions that come of it. Fine, whatever. Anyway,
no, no, don't watch it. Move on. Go to the next episode.
Beyond the Sea. So
Beyond the Sea.
this is the first time that Black Mirror has ever gone to the past.
Okay.
This is an alternative reality of 1969. Two men on a perilous high-tech mission wrestle with the consequences of an unimaginable tragedy. I was very happy to see Aaron Paul. I fucking love Aaron Paul. He plays. So the basic story is 1969 America. We have Josh Hartnett, which is fucking hilarious because somehow Josh Hartnett's like our mascot now.
He's everywhere, eh? He's he's
Yeah.
he's on a mad
We
comeback.
remember like episode 30 or some shit. We were like, who the fuck's this guy? Where's he come from? Like he's done nothing for years, and all of a sudden we've mentioned him like every couple months.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, Aaron Paul, who's playing a guy called Cliff, and Josh Hartnett is playing a guy called David. They are astronauts up on like a space station, and while they're on this space station doing whatever jobs they have to do, it's not really explained, but it's not really important. They also have replicas, body doubles, more or less machine men, living on Earth with their respective partners, living out their life. So they go inside a machine, they scan their little tag card around their neck, and then they can transport their consciousness out of the space station and into this little machine man on Earth. And that's how they spend most of their time.
My question is, why couldn't they do the reverse? Why couldn't it have been the bodies up there?
There are always times with Black Mirror where I'm like, first episode as well, why didn't she just not use her phone anymore? They can't make the episode if they stop tracking her through her phone. A lot of the times there are questions to be asked that sort of poke holes in Black Mirror, but there's a bit of suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Why not put the body doubles in space? I don't know. Maybe the machines can't live in space. Who fucking knows? It would make more sense because they can be out and yeah. Anyway, I thought the same thing. Really early in the episode, Josh Hartnett's character is on Earth. These like hippie cult leaders come and kill him and his entire family, kill his machine body and his 2 kids and his wife in front of him. They burn his machine body so he can't get himself back to Earth. This is 2 years into a 6-year space mission. So they have 4 years left where he can no longer spend time on Earth. Aaron Paul, there's one point where we think that David is going to kill himself. So Aaron Paul's like, if he dies, I die up there as well. We need to figure out a way to make him happy. So they bring him. They have come with the idea that once a week he will spend an hour or whatever on Earth with Aaron Paul's family, and he'll do some painting and whatever that make him happy, and it does for a bit. As the story continues, he gets a bit obsessive. He starts to have feelings for the wife. He makes a few sexual advances. She rejects them. He is obviously hurt by that. He hits Aaron Paul's kid, smacks him because he destroys the painting. And he gets to a point where Aaron Paul's like, "You need to fucking stop. You need to, we can't do this anymore." Before I get to the big reveal, give me your thoughts so far. Did you hate this too?
I actually really enjoyed this one. So
Ooh, okay.
yeah, so this one was cool. So obviously Josh Hartnett's character, I thought he was an interesting take where because it's only one episode, I don't think they fleshed out his like reasoning for why he got so possessive so quickly. Like he was only there for an hour each, like once a
Yeah.
week. But all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I don't know what the time period was of like how quickly
Yeah.
he developed
I
feelings
think
and
it's just
stuff for it.
loneliness.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's
like
lonely.
he's lonely, but like
Mm.
where does it's an hour? Like she wasn't spending an hour with him the entire time. We saw like 2 or 3 times where she was reading a book. He came in and was like, "Oh, let's go to the bookstore." And then another time for the next hour, she was watching him paint. But there was no
Yeah.
like real, I don't know, emotional connection or like time relevance that showed you to show that he was like all of a sudden becoming so obsessed over that 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it just because he's up in the space station and his only interactions are with her and with the other dude? Or
And very limited with him. Like they weren't really close. We never really saw them even talk about life, Cliff and David.
no? So I don't know. That the biggest downfall was for me was like showing the reasons why, and I think it's just because they have a limited set time that you can show. Like I just wasn't
Mm-hmm.
sure what the time period was for this like once a week drop in. Was it like
Yeah.
every time we saw it? Was that a week? Was this like just the next time, or was it like a
Yeah.
month or two in advance? Like where was
Mm-hmm.
the progression for
Or was
this?
this like a year later? Yeah.
Yeah. Like after a year, like you might sort of start to understand why this is. But the kid never like seemed to age. Like the grass
Mm-hmm.
never seemed to grow. Like it just seemed to be a very short period of time.
Yeah. And you're right, like that is probably on an episode like this, that's a bit grander than a lot of episodes they do. There is a little bit like because they can't spend heaps of time. This is longer as well. This is like an hour 20. But yeah, I can understand that.
Also,
The show definitely focuses more on Aaron Paul's character than, well, initially anyway, in terms
yeah.
of like backstory and stuff.
But where was the company that's like funding all of this? Like
Yes.
why couldn't they make him another body double?
They
Like
said
what's
that like Aaron Paul's character at one point was explaining to his wife, he says that the body doubles were made years before they even went on the expedition. It's 1969. I guess we assume that it's such advanced technology that it takes longer than 4 years to make.
yeah, but wouldn't they have the pattern and everything, like the mold
Mm,
and stuff from it?
yeah. Again, there are sometimes you got to watch this show without asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, yeah, okay. But yeah, he
Any
was
science fiction.
okay. It's definitely very interesting to see how it all unfolds and how they dropped in and
Yeah.
out. Like it was kind of
Hmm.
cool. There are
And you could see it like I'm watching it like I thought, and it get do spoilers now, I suppose as well. And again, this is worth watching without us revealing it. I was expecting that he was going to become obsessive in the fact that he would stay there and not let Aaron Paul come back, or like kill Aaron Paul on the space station, and then, or like knock him out, or whatever, and then just take over his life on Earth. That's what I was expecting. But feel free to reveal the ending. Go for it.
yeah, so I originally thought he was just gonna like pretend to be old mate and just take over his
Hmm.
life. and then
Yep.
after the space mission, be come back down and be like, "Yo, it's actually me you're in love with." But no,
Yep.
he ends up doing what happened to him and killing everybody.
Yep.
Well, like puts old mate out, fakes a repair mission out in space that he has to go check, locks him out, comes back, and he's like, "Where's my tag?" So then Aaron runs off and has to check it, comes back, and you just see the blood splatter and the
Goosebumps
traumatic.
right now.
Yeah,
The moment where you see Aaron Paul back on Earth and he wakes up in his little chair and he's covered in blood, you're just like, fuck, what has happened? And then just seeing all the blood down the walls. We don't see the family at all, but we just see Aaron Paul like break down, screaming, crying. He's such a good actor. And fuck, it's tragic. And then he goes back to the space station and Josh Hartnett like just kicks a chair out. It's like, sit down.
Yeah,
Because they can't kill each other. They have to, if they want to get back to Earth alive, either of them, they both have to survive on the space station. So yes, he has to survive with this person who has murdered his wife and child.
that's crazy.
Yeah, this was a tough episode.
Very good episode. It makes up for the poor episode 2.
Did you like it more or less than the first?
I liked it more than the first.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was an easy 4 for me. It was just those questions that struggled for me to like. I don't know. Yeah, easy 4. Easy.
Yeah, it carried a lot of weight. I think yeah, for me as well. I think it was the best of the 3. It's like a 4.5. It's one of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror already.
Yeah.
It was very good. Very powerful.
Definitely worth checking out. They are very cool season. Next week we're bringing you The Wrath of Becky, Transformers Rise of the Beast, and Flamin' Hot. So get excited for those ones. Lawson's very excited for Transformers. I'm sure it'll be a 4 for him.
Waste of time.
But you know what to do. All we do ask is that you can tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Bye.
Love yous.